Hi, this is Brady.
Jan.
Dan.
Connor.
From
Conjurer.
You're listening to Matt and Pete on Macho Grande.
Alright guys, welcome to Macho Grande 196. I'm Matt.
And I'm Pete.
And this is our 2003's festival special.
Yeah, Matt and I actually got to go to the festival together this time, and we spent the whole weekend in, it's near Cheltenham, Gloucestershire, in the UK.
Yep, and we spent the weekend sweating and getting sunburned and drinking lots, and it was very, very hot.
Yeah, unbelievably hot. And it's a camper as well, and long-time listeners will know, I'm not the biggest fan of camping. I mean, actually, I don't mind it if the weather's tolerable, but the heat, waking up to just scorching white light and just literally burning alive in your little sack of hell is not my idea of fun. But we did have a good time, apart from the camping.
And then realising it's like, oh wait, it's only 6 a.m. Oh my God.
Although actually you got there and made use of my second bedroom, so at least you didn't have to set up any camping equipment.
It was all very convenient this year. I loved the layout, and a great little festival, so we'll get into it.
Yeah, so I mean, for those of you that obviously don't know 2000 Trees, it's been around since 2007, and basically a group of 7 friends got together because they wanted to make a more... they were sick of sort of paying over the odds for bands they wanted to see, so they basically pooled together to put on their own festival. And 2007, and this has now also sparked a sort of slightly sister festival, Arctangent, of which 3 of the 2000 Trees people organise as well. Very similar kind of layout, that it's sort of Arctangent is sort of, I don't know, like 4 to 6 cap 1,000, and then 2000 Trees I think is sort of somewhere between 7 and 10. And they both just take on this sort of selection of kind of rolling fields, much smaller friendly site than say something like Sonosphere or Download. And it's just, I mean, this was your first one, wasn't it? But in the vibe, just incredible.
I mean, apart from, like I said, you just sort of looked around and just saw all these expressions on people's faces of like, I like summer, but this is a bit too hot. There were lots of people with that kind of expression, but apart from that, it's great. I love the layout. Everything is just like really convenient, really friendly, nice and laid back and chilled. It's not like, there are festivals where you end up having to sort of do some kind of death march of like 6 miles from the car to the camp. This is all really chilled and laid back, and like you say, the fact that it's in sort of like this isolated bit of farmland, it means you can run on late. Yeah. Which is really refreshing, because I haven't been to a festival like that apart from or certainly within the UK since Sonosphere.
No.
So that's a nice sort of welcome change. But I really, really enjoyed it.
Good. So on this show, basically, we're just going to be discussing the bands that we saw on the festival. We've got a couple of really cool interviews to run from Conjurer, Haggard Cat, and My Vitriol. And then we'll be back super quick with one of our normal shows where we'll be playing new music and doing the news and all that kind of stuff very, very shortly. So...
We'll start on Thursday.
Yeah, so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, rather than your normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which I love. I mean, being self-employed, I love that, because your Sunday then is your kind of lazy drive home recovery day, rather than it spilling onto the next week.
Totally. I mean, although it was, as it was my first year, I'm very used to the standard sort of Friday, Saturday, Sunday festival thing, so it was very disorientating.
Yeah.
I remember just waking up Friday thinking, oh, right, Saturday, here we go. And then same thing on the Saturday. It's like, okay, right. So it was just all very sort of disorientating to what I'm normally used to. But again, I think that was also the combination of alcohol and heat.
Let's take a look at the Thursday then. What were the sort of standouts of Thursday? We caught the end of Arcane Roots, who were over on the main stage. They had a big crowd. Tiny bit of Vukovi.
Yeah, caught a little bit of Turbo Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
And overheard Palm Reader, but didn't actually get in the tent.
Yeah, we were still kind of setting up, weren't we, at that point?
Yeah.
So I guess the first proper one was Turnstile.
Yes.
Who were in one of the tents. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed Turnstile, and I was hoping they were going to win you over, but you didn't seem that bowled over by it.
No, I just wasn't really feeling it, and I don't know, their sound wasn't really sort of doing it for me either. I mean, I don't know if it was, the levels just seemed really sort of blasting.
They are, and he's quite. I wouldn't say his vocal are high pitched, but it's quite tonally quite sharp, isn't he?
The frequency was just kind of like rattling my head, kind of thing.
I really enjoyed him because I know that everything off that new album like the back of my hand, and it was really cool to hear like the little interlude parts. And I think they've got a really good presence on stage, especially with the front man. He really does just emanate sort of this kind of cool persona.
Yeah.
The crowd seemed to lap it up, and it was awesome to just see, you know, a good half the tent constantly singing along to all the stuff, which I think bodes well. I mean, I still think they're going to be like main stage. They're going to be a main stage band within a few years.
Okay.
Then it was over to the main stage for Marmozets, which kind of similarly, I've been banging on about that new album. I think they've got tons of presence and energy on stage. They did suffer from a bit of a weird sound, unfortunately. But again, very enjoyable. She's really cool to watch on stage as well.
Yeah, again, just not my thing, I'm afraid. I just can't seem to sort of like just get into it. And I don't know why.
I guess everything picked up then for you, though, because the next big one on the Thursday was Black Peaks in the tent.
Black Peaks was one of the bands that I knew I was not going to miss at all. And yeah, they didn't disappoint at all. They played a handful of new songs, including two sort of like singles that they've already released, but also premiered. I counted at least 4 new songs, 2 of which were the singles. And everything sounded really good. And then everything off the first album just was sung along by everyone.
And I was going to say, the vibe from the crowd was insane. Yeah. It's like some of those build-ups towards the end of the set just felt huge. It was so cool. And that they were, I mean, people were just sort of spilling out the tent for them, which was cool.
Yeah, they played an absolute belter. I mean, especially when they were saying that their drummer just got out of hospital. And yeah, they were incredible. Really sort of like in fact, I kept seeing them. They were around kind of all weekend. But yeah, their set was incredible and one of the standouts for the weekend for me.
That's kind of testament to the festival, because I've seen that a few times, both at Trees and Arc Tangent, where the band will just be there for the whole thing because they just love it. Like it's such a cool family of people that organise it, and such a well-run festival that the bands literally do just camp up and they'll have a weekend there.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it was just a really good vibe. Clearly the bands enjoy that as well, so it's great.
So then, headlining the Thursday was at the Drive-In, who... Now, you had tickets for their comeback show originally, didn't you? And didn't go. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I've had a couple of opportunities to see them.
Since, obviously, the change-up. But had you seen them in the past?
No. I've never got to see them live.
Right, cool, okay. Because this was my first time seeing them, which is why I didn't want to miss this.
Yes. Okay. And the sound. I mean, I remember we were going into it worrying that the sound might have been a stage thing, having just watched Marmozets on stage. So I remember we were talking about that, and
yeah, it was like the bass. It was kind of doing that raspberry noise throughout Marmozets. It just seemed to take ages to try and sort it. That's what the problem was.
Yeah, just where it was like sort of like redlining and sort of buzzing a little too much. But they played a good set. Again, it was just kind of weird with the sort of audience, because I don't know. I mean, the new songs didn't go down like great.
No. I mean, the thing is, they started off the set balancing between the two albums really well. So obviously, like, they kicked off with Arc Arsenal, and then they seemed to sort of, there'd be a couple off Relationship of Command, and then a couple off Inter Alia, and then they seemed to be backwards and forwards in quite a bit. But you could definitely tell with the crowd that they weren't behind the new stuff.
Yeah,
and I think the new songs that they chose weren't the best songs either. I don't know if that was just me, but
it did start. And the thing is, it did start sort of like, it was kind of a lukewarm ending, even though they then pulled out, like One Arm Scissor.
Yeah, and Quarantined was near the end as well, and Pattern Against the User. But it was just, I don't know. I know. I mean, you got 7. I think it was 7 songs off Relationship and about 4 off Inter Alia, and then there was the one that you were telling me was the biggie off In Casino Out.
Yeah. So again, it was just a kind of like, it was one of those ones where, like, I'm assuming most people only know Relationship of Command, because that is the sort of the big one that they're known for. So anything off either album, either side of that, I would assume people don't really know. It felt it, and I was gutted that they didn't play Cosmonaut.
Yeah, you see, if they'd just snuck that in near the end as well, I think it would have been near perfect. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought they were great live. It was awesome to see them, and hearing songs like like Invalid Litter Department and stuff live was just fantastic. Quite a minimalist sort of stage show, which I'd kind of expect from them, but it looked nice, and they had a couple of backdrop changes and stuff.
Yep. And I mean, everything sounded good. They played everything well. I mean, I know in the past, just from sort of live footage of them, they tend to play so insane that things start to get messy. But yeah, it was a great set, and I'm glad now I can tick it off the list that I've finally seen out the drive-in.
Absolutely. So then that was kind of it for the Thursday, and we sort of mingled around the bars afterwards. And in the forest, so they have this thing called forest sessions where you sort of walk around the track, and then all of a sudden you're literally sort of in the trees on a slope with a very, very small little stage where they'd arranged basically acoustic sessions throughout the day, but one-offs with different artists, and then they managed to get some of the sort of the bands playing the weekend to come and do sets specifically for it, which was really cool. So we caught the very final thing on that day was Thrill Collins.
Yes, I went back to the tent and was listening to Thrill Collins from my bed.
They were nuts. It was just like this mishmash of crazy songs and pop songs all thrown together in just the most fun way you can imagine. So it was a nice kind of close to the night.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of like crazy, like
reggae and ska versions of stuff.
Yeah, ska versions of like Craig David, and sort of like a folky reggae chant, and just having the crowd. I remember just sort of the pauses in between where he was allowing the crowd to do sort of like boink and these weird sound effects. As well as like sound effects from like Barbie Girl and Dr. Joke and things all like that. Yeah, really crazy set list.
So that was our Thursday. And the Thursday, I mean, setting up the tent in the heat was what did it for me. So I did reasonably well on the Thursday night, but I wasn't quite in the party spirit after the blazing heat of setting the tent up.
And I crashed out early at the drive-in because I'd driven down since I think I drove through the heat from 7 from Norfolk.
Yeah. We went down Wednesday night, but we got so held up on the way with that many road closures. They'd closed the site off, and there was no way. So we kind of backtracked to Cheltenham and just got a room there for the night. So, yeah, but that meant we were still kind of on site early, but it was still so hot setting the tent up.
Yeah, but it just meant that I wasn't I was kind of like, no, I'm saving myself for Friday night.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at the. Oh wait, let's play an interview actually. Let's go with Conjurer first. Here's us having a chat with Conjurer. So I'd love to start off just asking you, because obviously the album exploded and everyone loves it. It's absolutely amazing. Did you have any idea that it was going to just go this way?
No, we wrote an album that we liked, and other people happen to like it as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's not very often shit explodes the way that did nowadays either.
It's hard to know. Like, it's difficult to chart like your own band's progress. It's easy being like on the outside looking in and seeing other bands doing all their stuff. Like, there's a lot of friends bands we know that we're just, oh my god, they've got this and this and this and this. But to them, they might not even be aware of the things that happen, because the offers that you get them, you go, oh, that's wicked, and then you just kind of keep rolling on. The next thing comes along and you just kind of keep going. It's hard to really process everything that's happening. So
Did you not notice a sort of change in the audience at shows? Like, 1 minute it was just sort of like a core crowd, and then suddenly more people?
A little bit, but we've also been lucky to be on like really good bills as well. So it's never felt like, oh yeah, we sold out that show. Yeah. It's like we're on a show that's sold out with us and these other wicked bands.
That's why the album release show at the Black Heart, that was an eye-opener, because that ended up selling out. I mean, I know we did like 30 odd on the guest list or whatever, but that was absurd.
Yeah,
like people came to come and see us.
I think it is cool that like the one thing I've noticed is that we start seeing our merch more elsewhere, not just like at our shows or like on our mates. Like, it's people that we don't know, and like people walking on 2000 Trees and stuff like that, and it's like, it's a little bit like, oh shit, I'm in that. Like, it's cool, but again, we try not to let anything inform what we do other than just us writing some songs.
Because you also seem to go out on the road with quite different bands. Like obviously you did the Employed to Serve, and then you got Conan, and it's quite a nice mixture. Is that on purpose, or is it just what comes around?
It's not on purpose, but we're really happy it's happening.
Yeah. Right.
Because probably one of the very few things that we actually kind of all agree on is that we just want to be able to play with whoever we want to play with. Yeah. There's a lot of things that we kind of creatively we have to compromise on, but when it's come to doing certain gigs or whatever, it's really cool that we can play with a pop punk band one day, then play with a doom band the next day, and then play with noise artists another day. Because the main reason we love that is because each of those things kind of inspire us in different ways. We've played noise gigs and been like, that's fucking awesome, and we take some inspiration from that, and then we play hardcore gigs and we're like, that's really cool, we take inspiration from that. If you're playing with if we were just a doom band constantly playing with doom bands, we'd just sound like a doom band. Our greatest inspiration is from playing with all sorts of different people.
I think as well it allows, this year we've done Techfest 2000 Trees, and then we're doing Arctangent and Bloodstock
and Doom vs Stoner.
Yeah, Doom vs Stoner in
Sheffield.
October, September? End of the year. And for one band to be able to do that breadth of genres, and for it still to kind of work everywhere, everywhere we go, is for us it's awesome. But we also kind of miss out on what the proper tech bands have at Techfest, which is, this is the perfect place for us to play. Everyone here gets it, everyone's here. We don't really get that anywhere.
We always feel like the odd one out.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, certainly with regards to this festival. I mean, you're probably the heaviest band playing this entire sort of weekend. So do you feel that sort of responsibility, bringing the heavy? You're representing that genre?
Well, it can go both ways, can't it? Because you can think of it as a responsibility, or you can think of it as, we're already the heaviest band here just by default of the songs that we've written.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where when you mention it, we're the heaviest band, but we've not turned up going, we've got to be super heavy. We're turning up to play our set. If that's the heaviest set, then cool.
Cracking. Yeah. It's not really something we think about, trying to make the band the most something, or the kind of, I feel like some bands try and get a bit of hype going about themselves, they're the band that do this or that, but we've never really thought about any of that. It's just
it's because we're awful at PR. That's why we.
Although we were 15 minutes early for our interviews today. So,
just like to point that out.
That was pretty sick. But other than that, we just don't think about it. It's just 100% about the music, and that sounds like one of those shitty,
in the most
pretentious wanky things that people say, but in the most simple terms, it's really difficult to get excited about things that aren't being in a band.
I mean, something I was kind of curious about, when we reviewed the album, we sort of talked about the maturity of it for such a young new band, that it felt sort of peerless, and it didn't feel like you were sort of, for a young band, representing your influences or anything like that. But I was just curious as to what actually are the band's influences. Who do you sort of
Good question, because we don't know.
No. But it's just stuff we listen to, and the only band that we all agree on, all four of us, that we all like, is System of a Down. And it don't sound nothing like System of a Down, does it?
No. Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah, love Carly Rae Jepsen. I listen to Three Trapped Tigers. You like The Darkness. You like all your weird folk stuff. I don't know what you Parkway Drive.
I do, a little bit.
No, it's one of those, when you are a band that listen, I think the best way to phrase it, we have friends that will listen to 3 bands and then wonder why their band sounds exactly like those 3 bands, whereas we will listen to 70 bands, and if you take the smallest bit from everything you listen to, that's how you create your own sound. I'm not saying we're trying to do that, we're just trying to write good songs.
No, but see, that was kind of my point, is that it doesn't feel like it's a sort of a melting pot of influences. It just sounds like this matured thing.
Especially usually we will throw out a riff if we go, we've just ripped off that.
We've thrown out whole songs.
Yeah, there's no intention of, we like, I don't know, Gojira, so we need to write songs like Gojira. It's just we like Gojira, but here's this cool bit I wrote. Whether it sounds anything like anybody or not, it's just sort of what ends up being put together.
It's something I kind of picked up on. I had a lot of my friends have been in bands and stuff, and college friends and stuff. and I remember one time I was round with my friend who was in a band, and for some reason I was in their like band meeting, and they were saying, oh, we need a song like Follow the Water by Architects. And I remember just thinking, like, what a weird thing to say, because then you're just going to write something that sounds like that, or is in some way going to be kind of ripping that off.
But not
And
as
why?
Yeah,
That's the
it
and
just
why.
kind of like, why do you want a song like that? Like, just write a song that you want. Like, I remember that just being a little thing that stuck in my mind, and it's not something that we've consciously gone, oh, we can't write something like this, because whatever we like, it goes in. But it's little things like that, just again observing lots of different bands and how they work, and just observing friends and their taste in music. Like, there's tons of things you pick up on without you even noticing, and like it's all just kind of subconsciously created what this is.
And I think we tend to write more in bits as opposed to writing whole songs.
Yeah.
So all the bits could be written at completely different times and then stuck together, which I think helps make it sound less cohesive. I don't know. You have to work.
Less like one-track minded.
Yeah.
in that
Yeah,
sense.
when you write, I remember how it used to be with my old bands. It'd be like you'd write a riff, and I'd be like, great, we'll start the song there. What comes next? Right, we'll write that bit, and then what comes after that? Chorus. So then we do that bit again, and it's the end of the song. Whereas this, it's like, Dan's got a riff. Yeah, it sounds a bit like that thing from 4 years ago. If you take that and down tune it, maybe those could work together. Or we'll totally scrap it and write something else.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
Yeah.
It's there's no kind of set methodology to it, I think.
Do you kind of write constantly, or is it something that you'll set aside time to know you're going to go and plan the next one?
I write fairly consistently, like not so much every day, and it may not even be like huge chunks of something, but like sometimes I'll sit down with a guitar and I'll write a minute of something, and sometimes I don't have that much faith in it. It's more like, well, I'll write it down in case it works, because the amount of times I've come in and gone, oh, so-and-so's going to hate this riff, and then they go, oh, I love that, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, send me the tab to that.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't tabbed it.
Yeah.
Well, tab it when you get home and send it to me.
Yeah, like, and then it will all of a sudden be in a song. Like, we're kind of oblivious. We never know like what we like until we play it and all go, yeah, that's good. Yeah, okay.
I'll come into practice and I'm like, yeah, I listened to it, I didn't really like it, and then Dan will play it and I'm like, oh Christ. Oh yeah, no, I got it now.
Yeah.
Sometimes
But
you
yeah,
need
we-
to hear some of the drums.
It goes through a long and arduous sort of
Oh, it's
testing
awful.
process. Like,
rubbish.
it is, sometimes it is annoying because you just want a song to be finished, but the thing we always tell ourselves is like, no, if we're slaving over it this long, there's got to be something in it.
Yeah.
But if there isn't anything in it, we have no problem with going, right,
Yeah.
start again.
So like, bear in mind that how long have we been together now? Like 4 years?
Coming up.
Coming up to 4 years, and so it would have been 3 years for this. So the songs on the album, they were all basically 3 years in the making of that album. If that makes sense. Especially stuff like Flesh. That's like one of the oldest songs. So they goes through constant revisions and changes.
With that in mind, have you considered work on the next album?
Yeah,
Have you
we've got so many
already?
bits.
Oh,
Yeah,
hundreds
me-
of bits.
Me and Dan were
Thousands.
literally having this conversation in the car here because we've got so many bits, and so I was asking him, I was like, does that mean I can't write any more bits? So there are already too many bits, and then he's like, no, just write whatever you
Never
want.
too many bits.
So,
Given how well it went, has the label now just offered you a shit ton of money for the next one?
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Yeah, we're fucking rolling in it. Alex, yeah? All that money you've given us. Cracking.
No, but they were kind of like,
all go, no.
Alex decided he was going to put out the album before he'd even heard it. So he's given us a lot of love and faith.
Yeah.
And at the end
They're
of the day,
smashing
when
it
you've
as a
got
label
that-
at the minute, though.
absolutely,
It's doing so well.
No, they're they work on basically like we record the album and they do the rest.
Right.
So that's kind of how it works. But it's a really good system. Everything is like one album deals, so there's no pressure on the bands. It's like, well, you've got an album, let's do this and then see what happens.
So you're just going to sign with Sony now, then?
Yeah. Sony, hello. It's really cool. I think it works better. Alex has always said like if there was like ages ago there was talk about a potentially really big label being interested, and I phoned him up and he was like, look, if you get a good offer from them, I will come with you and I'll sit down and I'll have a look at it and make sure you're not getting shafted, because at the end of the day, why would I hold you back and make you miserable when you had a chance of doing something way bigger than we could ever give you? And that attitude is just it frees you up and gives you so much more faith in the label, knowing that they really do just want the best for the bands. Like, and it's a really wicked atmosphere to be making music in, and they will let us really do whatever we want as long as it's not shit.
And so lastly, if anybody out there hasn't heard Conjurer, what one song would you go and direct them to?
Choke.
That was easy.
Choke. I like Choke. I think it nicely summarises like the whole album, even though it's the first song. It's got bits of everything.
You put the album on, it's the first song. If you like it, you got the bloody rest of the
exactly,
album.
yeah. And if you don't, we've saved you so much of your time.
Yeah,
We're
honestly,
like the most considerate
it's only
band.
downhill from there.
Choke.
Yeah, we initially wanted that to be like the first single and all of that, but it wasn't to be, which is
Choke
is
is
fine.
like the people you get in Sainsbury's that go, oh, you want to try a bit of this chorizo? You have it. And he's like, yeah, brilliant, I'll buy the lot.
Yeah. Cracking. No, I normally stay there and have a few more
Not the
bits for
single,
free.
though.
Yeah, I know, livid.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Have a good show.
Thank you.
So, on to the Friday. One of the nice things about the festival is the attention to detail that they have for finding quirkier and interesting versions of things. So, like, not to knock download, but you go to download, and download's bar, like, the beer choice was literally like Carlsberg or Carlsberg. That's what it felt like.
Yes.
And who was it? 2000 Trees had partnered up with Signature Brew, which is like a craft beer company that align themselves with bands. So bands will go down and they'll create, they'll pick their own hops and stuff and create their own version. Really nice packaging, really, really tasty beer. And so that was just a nice plus, having that as like the site beer. And then as an aside to that, they kind of pick their food stalls quite carefully as well. So there's a really nice selection of food. So like, we made sure to have like one decent meal at least, every breakfast. Yeah. So it was good getting up Friday morning and finding just some nice, decent food, which was really cool. And then what was the first band on Friday?
First band on Friday that
because you didn't catch it was going to be Jamie Lemon in the Forest, but I don't think you made it over in the end, did you? To that?
No.
So it'd be Horror, and So I Watched You From Afar. Those are the earlier ones.
Yes.
I reckon.
Oh no, well I did catch a couple of things earlier. I caught a little bit of chapter and verse, which was what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I caught a bit of Vodun as well, which they sounded really good as well.
Yeah, that was right. Because we sort of split up and sort of tried to catch a couple of different things. But yes, I think the first main band that we sort of caught together were So I Watched From Afar, and you went off then to watch a bit of Horror.
Yeah.
Halfway through that set, so we sort of split up again.
How much did you enjoy on So I Watched You From Afar? Because they had a huge crowd, and they are very firm festival favourites with both 2000 Trees and Arctangent.
I really enjoyed it because I really like the last album. Again, bit gutted that they didn't play a couple of tracks that I would have liked to have played from an earlier couple of albums. But apart from that, I mean, they played a great set, and cool. I really enjoyed it. And again, just on a sort of like Friday afternoon, and again in another sort of blazing sort of day. But by this point, I was sort of into the swing of it, as opposed to just having bombed across the country to get there. I could just sort of like enjoy it, and like you said, we were on to the sort of the signature beers and things like that. So yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Horror had filled the tent nicely. Last year or 2 years ago, obviously we saw Horror a couple of times, and although I raved about it, it was very much from it's a theatrical experience rather than their music. I'm now kind of more interested after watching this set, because it feels like there was definitely songs now that I'd want to listen to. So yeah. I'm now very interested in delving in and actually checking out some of the catalogue, because it felt like there was some new stuff that I'd not heard. And yeah, I mean, same as always, just bonkers on stage to watch live, so that was pretty cool. Touche Amore, they probably had one of the biggest crowds of the weekend, I would say.
Okay.
Just massive for them. And the people singing along, I mean, I don't know Touche's that well. I enjoy it when it's on, but I wouldn't say I know any of the albums particularly well. The crowd singing along to them was just massive. So that was cool to see. Who else did we catch a bit of? Mallory Knox felt a little bit flat.
Yeah.
Aside from the couple of big singles, it didn't quite. I'm wondering how much longer they can kind of hold on to being onto the main stage, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was kind of surprised that they were sort of so high up, and that in a way that they were still going strong enough to sort of earn that slot. And maybe a while back, but I don't personally. I didn't even realise they were still going. I thought they had split up. So.
Well, they've had. I mean, there's been member changes, and I don't know. It's felt like a kind of messy couple of years for them, and they're kind of stuck in that. There was that explosion of bands that sort of didn't really do as well as they all kind of perhaps hoped they would. And only a few of those bands remain, and the rest of them are slowly slipping away now, and it feels like they're clinging on a bit.
Yeah, again, kind of feeling that realm of sort of like Young Guns and kind of like, you know, the kind
Northern Atlantis and
Northern Atlantis kind of gone off the boil a bit. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just because I think it's gone off the boil that I just haven't noticed it.
Yeah, but you say that, but I think the crowd kind of, you know, sort of said it all, really. I mean, it felt very lukewarm.
Yeah. But again, maybe, I mean, you know, we're not the target audience, and, you know, I suppose for a festival afternoon band, the music that they do play is suitable.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I can understand.
Caught a tiny bit of We Were Promised Jetpacks, tiny bit of Creeper. Creeper had a huge crowd. And then it was kind of over for Catcher in the end of Conjurer, because they just sounded heavy as hell. Although it was a shame they were on the new stage, because that's the one that's sort of in between the main stage and sort of the other half of the site, because it feels like a much smaller stage, that one. And I reckon they could have packed out the cave.
Totally. And I mean,
the Axiom, rather.
Heaviest bands of the weekend as well.
Yeah, totally. But they sounded massive, and just huge riffs coming out of that. It was good.
Yeah, and then I kind of just sort of did the bar for the evening, really, because I wasn't really fussed about Twin Atlantic.
No, well, the big one to hit was My Vitriol.
Yes, of course. Forgot we did that.
I mean, we kind of wandered over and caught bits of Twin Atlantic. I'm going to have a chat about them in a second. But yeah, it was all about My Vitriol, which obviously you were super excited about. And I really enjoyed, because I don't know their stuff. And I sort of stood next to you and watched their entire set. And I really enjoyed all of it. And partly because obviously they're one of those bands that I'd heard the name of for so long and don't really know their stuff. And obviously you've mentioned them quite a bit on the show and told stories about them, and we had the interview booked. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit weird with their bassist having to drop out last minute because I can't remember for what reason they were saying. But anyway, like, they were sort of performing slightly different, with the sort of the guitar, the second guitarist, lead guitar, jumping between bass and guitar, and they also had like a weird backing track in places, which again for me was just kind of weird because, like, having listened to the album so many times over the last sort of like 16 years, songs sounded certainly different from the last times I'd heard them live. But yeah, it was just really good to see them, and you know, like I said, you know, well, you'll hear in the interview. I just hope they do something new finally.
So Twin Atlantic, I mean, they had a big crowd. It seemed very heavy off the new album, which you can't expect. Oh, it's not that new now. It's actually the one I know the least as well. Is it GLA? Which I really don't know that album. I mean, I kind of know the one before quite well, and obviously I know Vivarium, which I don't think they played a single track of. But obviously we caught a bit of Heart and Soul and Free. Yeah. Which was cool, you know, it was nice to hear those. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised they're kind of festival headliners for this, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, we don't. Who are we to choose?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So although it makes sense to do the My Vitriol interview now, we're actually going to do the Haggard Cat one, because the My Vitriol one was kind of probably one of your highlights, and it was a little bit longer than the others, and it ends really well. So I've put that one at the back. So here's us having a chat with Haggard Cat. Kicking off today with the main stage, how was it?
Absolutely unbelievable, yeah. It was overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming for us.
I was completely mistaken about the band, because I thought this was brand new after Heck, and I only read recently that this has actually been something that you guys have been doing for quite a while. Is that right?
That's absolutely true. We've been doing this band we started it accidentally about a year after we started Baby Godzilla back then. So Baby Godzilla was the first kind of thing, and a year into that we started this by accident because I'll keep it short, we got offered a gig as Baby Godzilla, but all of our members were there. So me and Matt kind of just went, we'll jam if you want, and it was a set at Rock City because the support band had pulled out, and me and Matt went, we'll just go up and just play some whatever, and the guy was just like, yeah, okay, cool, and we went up and did it. And we were just like, this is really fun actually, playing together. And it was probably about 5 years ago. Right. And it's always been like a back burner because of Heck and Baby Godzilla, and we just pushed that, and that was kind of like the bigger thing. And we just kind of, it was always just a fun thing that we always used to just have. And like, shall we do that Haggard Cat HCBP thing back then? And as soon as we had a bit more time from Heck, and we had to do this. We just push this, and people are really enjoying it. Earache took it on, which is amazing, and we're just trying to push it as far as we can.
Presumably now that Heck is no longer, is this now the full-time thing for you?
This is definitely full-time. Yeah.
Right.
Like Heck, without giving or going, because I could talk forever. We've not kind of split. We've just stopped because we needed to, and we need to let things cool down, and so we're this is our priority. This is our thing now, and we're just going to push this as far as it goes. If it's for a year and everyone forgets about us, cool. If it's for the next 5 years, we'll just keep going. And we just want to keep writing music.
With writing the music, now Heck isn't an outlet, do you see some of the riffs that maybe would have gone into this, because it is a very different sound?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Challenger, sounds completely different to like the Heck record,
Yeah, absolutely. Like this, Haggard Cat's music is probably the more natural to what me and Matt play. So when we get into a practice room, if we're waiting for the guys or whatever, and we're just trying to warm up, what we'll be playing is more Haggard Cat, and we'll come up with lots of riffs and things like that won't really fit for Heck. So Heck's music was more about like pushing ourselves, like me as a drummer, like what can I not play and try and play faster and harder and with more, things like that. But if we just kind of just stopped and stripped all that away and just kind of went, let's just jam, it would sound like Haggard Cat. So this is more a natural kind of sound for me and Matt to produce. So that's it really. It's been really easy.
And you'll keep it as a two-piece as well, is that always the plan?
Always going to be a two-piece.
I see. One of the things I love reading when I see the reviews is that people go in expecting one thing from a two-piece and not expecting this gigantic sound.
Well, that's kind of, we have like a little bit of a gripe about two-piece. A lot of people are calling like two-pieces a genre and stuff like that, and like, oh, what do you play? Oh, you play two-piece music. It's like, no, like it's not a genre. Like we play rock and blues and stuff like that, and do you know what I mean? And we kind of take we want to kind of push the boundary of not specifically sounding like a two-piece, and you can listen to it and go, there's clearly two of them, and there's not a third person. We want to kind of push that, especially on live as well, like, big drums, big cymbals, big guitar amps and things like that, nice and chunky, and and just we just want to change that perception of, you don't look at us and go, oh, they're a band. Cool.
So do you find yourselves in sort of like a different circle of touring bands as well with this?
Definitely, yeah. Like that's something that we're looking forward to as well. Like with Heck, you play with a lot of similar bands, and you play with a lot of hardcore bands and stuff like that, which is awesome, which is really cool. But with Haggard Cat, it's brought us into a different kind of side of music that Heck never took us in, and it was the more rock and the more kind of, a little bit less crazy metal and stuff like that. So it's just been awesome, like getting to different fans and different people. It's been fantastic.
Heck and Baby Godzilla were kind of known for their live show, and is it now being a two-piece? Is it nice having the sort of bigger stage to yourselves?
It kind of is, like.
Or do you feel it's slightly more daunting to fill that stage as a two-piece, wherever Heck were so known for like being such a wild live act?
I think so. Like, obviously, the live part of Heck became almost as greater as the band. Do you know what I mean? And we'd go to places and people would be like, oh god, Heck's here or whatever. Like even now, we went down there and a couple of security guys that were here last time were just like, so what's your set gonna be like? Is the crowd gonna go crazy? And we're like, it's not that band. like and it's nice to do something a bit refreshing and kind of like, we want to create this huge sound and things like that. But it's really nice for us to stay on stage, and I most of the time did. But for Matt, it's nice for him to stay on stage and play and project songs, and we're trying to project the band in a different way. Do you know what I mean? Like Heck was just purely, you come and see us live type thing, but this is very much like, we're going to play some songs for you. Okay. We're going to rock out with these songs, and we're going to have loads of fun. And, so it's good. It's a nice different. It's different for us, and that's what we like. If we would have come on stage and just gone crazy and started smashing stuff or whatever, it would be boring. It'd be so boring. So we just want to do things differently.
Okay.
So what's the plans next?
The plan next is just write more music and play more shows. Like that's just always been like the simple mission is just play more shows in front of people and write music. Like the reason we wrote Challenger was purely because we wanted to record in a certain studio, and when we recorded it, that like the Challenger's been done for 2 years.
Oh right.
And we had no plan. We had no kind of like way to release it. We were just going to release it for free.
Right.
We were just going to be like, yeah, cool, we just did this. And Earache thankfully took us on, which was incredible.
As well. Like
It's incredible. Yeah. We were just when they were.
You guys, where are you from? You're from Nottingham.
We're from Nottingham, and they're based literally 5 minutes down the road.
Cool.
And when they were interested, we were like,
that's
like
really cool.
like what can go wrong? Do you know what I mean? It was just and it was just. Yeah, it's just strength to strength with this. It's been amazing. And
does that mean that there's a wealth of ideas of noodles and things like that you've worked on since Challenger's been recorded?
what, for new material? Yeah. We've constantly, we've probably got half the next album written. Like, we had this one done obviously 2 years ago. The first album we released, Charger, was literally done in a day. And this is the thing. This is one of the reasons why we made this band is because we keep writing stuff, and that's what draws us. That's what excites us, is writing music. You know, playing gigs is awesome, but if we can't have enough fun in the practice room together, as kind of corny as that sounds, Is it a lot easier to juggle just the two egos in the studio then, as opposed to sort of four? Absolutely. like it goes without saying. Like, I feel like it's easier to write music with just another person. Like, I remember once, we went into the practice room and we were like, right, we're going to write a new song, and it just didn't work. It absolutely just fell on its arse, and it was just like, it just didn't work, because you've got too many cooks. Even 4 people or 3 people can be too much, and it's nice to bump off just another person, to create that spark, create that like couple of riffs, and then you just get the rest of the band in. But as it's me and Matt, it's like, do you like that? Yeah. Do you like that? Yeah. Do you like that? No. Cool. Me neither. Cool. Do you? Yeah. Okay. Right. It's done. And it's so easy. It's so easy. We've never had even the disagreements where I've not liked something and Matt's been really for something. He's just gone, yeah, okay, you don't like it, so let's not do it. And this vice versa. If I don't like it, Matt really likes it, I'm like, well, he clearly really likes it, so let's go for it, because he digs it, and we end up it just works, because it's easy. It's good. Awesome. It's good fun.
If anybody's not heard Haggard Cat before, what one song would you go and recommend they go and check out right now?
Oh, God. I'd say... I like them all. American Graffiti.
Cool. Thank you very much, man.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries.
So yeah, that was us having a chat with Haggard Cat. So that was our Friday, just to kind of hit the silent disco that night and sort of mingled around the bars and the tree area. The nice thing about the tree area is obviously the whole site is just open like all night. So it hits a certain point and you can just kind of go and chill in in that little slopey tree area, and it's so nice in there. Like, they hang all these lamps from the trees and stuff, and it's really good.
Yeah, Friday night was great, and then Saturday was at least a little bit sort of... Well, it started off a little bit cooler.
Yeah, and there had been a tiny bit of rain on the Friday, which helped the site a bit with like dust and stuff. Yeah,
and then Saturday was just baking hot.
It was unreal. Yeah.
So we kind of like again with hangovers as well, sort of waking up. I just remember sort of Saturday morning being one of the worst feelings in the morning, of just like, I'm literally cooking. Oh my god, I feel terrible. Look at my watch. It's only 5:30 in the morning, and I just sort of went. I dragged my blow up bed outside.
Oh yeah.
And just slept outside then for like another couple of hours, because I just couldn't cope inside the tent. I'll just lie in the shadow, and I was a lot better. But yeah, after breakfast, I think the first thing we went and did, wasn't it sitting in...
I was going to say Blood Command. Was there anything before that?
Yeah, no, of course it was Blood Command. No, sorry, the standout, I just remember what we did later when we went to the forest.
Oh, right, yeah.
So Blood Command, who were amazing.
Yeah, that was ace. Really enjoyed seeing it because I've not seen them with the new singer either. She was brilliant.
Yeah, I absolutely love that new album, so it was really good to see those songs. And it was really great to hear her perform some of the songs off the second album.
Yeah, and although it wasn't packed, it was a nice crowd, and they were singing along, which was cool.
Yeah, and everyone was sort of jumping about and really she had a lot of great passion, and the band were really going for it. And again, the sounded really good.
Yeah.
I was really enjoyed their set. Really enjoyed it.
And then we hung around because Queen Kwong was on after that, although I was slightly confused as to who Queen Kwong was. I'd kind of got them confused with Greg from Dillinger's project, who are just about to bang out a new album, by the way, or it's just dropped.
The Black Queen?
Yeah, I'd got a bit confused there with who was going out with who, and yeah.
Right. Yes, because I don't know if he was there, but she is married to Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit fame, and they have some great merch.
Yeah, well, we were super confused at first because you went to the merch stand, and what did the t-shirt say for Queen Kwong?
Who the fuck is Wes Borland?
That was their t-shirt. That's all it said, which is amazing.
Which is great. So I don't know if he was performing with them because he has done in the past, but he certainly co-writes with her.
Gotcha. Okay, so I really enjoyed them, and I now need to check out their stuff. So if you haven't heard Queen Kwong, I thought they were absolutely fantastic. She's got an amazing voice. However, the turnout, they had no crowd. It was empty, which was really, it was really odd. I mean, whether it filled up a bit later, because we were getting ready, we wanted to go over and see. They'd booked Enter Shikari for the Forest acoustic session, although it was only Row, and we kind of left early. So whether before meeting you it filled up a bit, I don't know. But certainly when I was there, I stood almost at the front. And
but yeah, so I sat in the shade and had something to eat and listened to Queen Kwong and really enjoyed what I heard.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Really liked them.
Then we went to the worst place you go with a hangover, which was a really, really crammed.
Yeah, just slightly. It was packed for Enter Shikari because it's not a very big area, the Forest area. Seemingly half the festival had decided to go and watch Rao do his acoustic session.
Yeah, and unfortunately because of that, you couldn't get into the actual sort of like forest bit where you're in the shade. So we were kind of sort of spread out along the top path, which just had sun directly overhead. And then obviously lots of other bodies crammed in around you. So it was just a bit much. Then we made a nice sort of little sort of descent around the far side of the stage down to like this little stream.
Yeah, that was nice.
And we just sort of like stayed there while...
Except you couldn't, so no matter where we were, you couldn't see Rao at all. Now, I don't know whether that hindered... I'm really of two minds as to what happened here, because from our perspective, it sounded like, you know, when somebody's just tuning up and just checking their settings for 45 minutes. That's all it sounded like to me, was just this
occasional little tinkering of like, well, I'll just do a little bit of Gary Newman cars.
It felt like an absolute mess to us. And I don't know whether it was just because we couldn't see anything that didn't help, because I spoke to people at the festival, and there was a couple of people who'd got it into their heads that he was blind drunk. And I was like, no, he's definitely not drunk. And obviously we saw Shikari later in the evening who smashed it.
He certainly on the performance in the evening, he said he was really nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed weird to us, and it felt
just seemed unrehearsed and like wasn't planned.
Yeah, but then I've read some reviews who said it was the most incredible intimate experience they've ever experienced, and I was like, what? Because he did the actual list of songs. There was some quite good stuff in there. So like he started off quite well. Was it Stalemate?
I just remember people walking past us saying sort of like 40 minutes for 2 songs.
I mean, all it sounded like to me was mostly tuning and the jangling of a chord every now and again. It was odd.
Yeah, it was very strange, and not even sort of chatting much around it. It was all just very sort of strange.
Yeah, no, but it felt like people were losing it, like so many people were pouring out.
Yeah.
And it just didn't quite work. But as I say, I think part of that was down to just not being able to see anything, so you didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a shame. That was the only real down point, really. What else did we catch on?
Well, unfortunately, 6th had to cancel on the morning. The 6th pulled out, so they were replaced by a A3 page.
Oh, yeah.
With
an apology.
Scroll saying 6th will not be playing. So they played a great set, that A3 page.
Yeah, blinding.
They were fantastic. Although it was nice having that empty tent just to sit in.
We listened to Speedhorn as well, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit of Rage and Speedhorn, and we finally got because we were just sort of sat listening, waiting for Thumper, and we got that. They sounded like Rage and Speedhorn.
Yeah, and a bit of a chill then, getting ready for the evening, and we kind of just listened to Basement and Moose Blood, who I still think were the wrong way round. And judging from the crowd, it seemed like all the crowd were there for Basement, and although Moose Blood did fine, I wouldn't say they had the same reception as Basement.
No, and I forgot I got to see sad. What were they called? Sad Day, I think it was on the Saturday.
The Skinny Lister.
No,
Skinny Lister. No.
They replaced someone.
Oh right. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I can't remember who it was that couldn't play. But anyway, they were really cool. I think they were called Sad Day.
Right. I don't remember that.
They're not on the poster because they were last minute sort of stand-in for someone who cancelled. But they were really good fun.
Did we watch Hell is for Heroes?
Yeah.
Did I watch them?
Yeah, you were pretty buzzing by that.
I don't remember watching Hell is for Heroes.
You were really drunk by that point. You'd been drinking a lot of vodka.
Yeah, but I remember every bit of Ed Shikari who were on after them. Are you sure I was there?
Oh yes, yeah, because we stood next to each other for the whole set.
I think that was my Vitriol.
Nope. Hell is for Heroes.
I don't remember Hell is for Heroes.
We also ran into a couple of people that you were chatting to as well. But we watched the whole set. Hell is for Heroes were really good. Again, big fill in the tent. It wasn't pouring out the sides, but it was definitely sort of big capacity, people singing along. Pretty much just the first album being played. But everything seemed really good. And again, sort of like, it was good sort of like to hear those songs again after so long. And still sounded really great live.
I'm not sure I was there for that, mate.
No, you weren't there.
That feels very vague.
you left slightly. I think you left sort of like 10 minutes before they finished.
No, I must have been there because we were arranging to meet up for Shikari.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you went off to Shikari while I watched because you wanted to go to the go get some more vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were arranged to meet at the signature beer stage tent thing, and I went and waited there, and you didn't turn up.
Yeah, we got held up, and then we couldn't find you.
I waited longer, and by this point, sort of Shikari were into their second song. I went and got like a couple of double espressos from the coffee van that they had there, and then I just made my way down to the actual stage and watched the second song onwards.
Yeah, so I reckon we probably got there about the same sort of time, but we just managed to miss each other. Shikari had set it so that we were discussing as to whether or not they'd try and bring their surround sound that they put into the arena tour. And sure enough, they did. So if you're at a festival, you normally see these repeater towers. So if you stand back, you'll see these banks of towers, set back. Yeah. And what they did was they had those facing towards the stage rather than out.
Yes, so if you were within that, you got this quadraphonic sound set.
Yeah, well, we were stood literally just behind one of them, so I still very much got the full effect, but we weren't in the circle.
No, I mean, I was quite far out of the circle, so I started watching. When I got down to the stage, I was to the right-hand side of the stage for a couple of songs, then I moved over to the left-hand side, again, in search of you while listening to them.
I don't know how you can find me, considering Keir was in a giant alien costume.
Well, that was the bit that I was looking for, was a friend we were with was in an inflatable alien costume. But you could still hear the effect of this sort of quadraphonic sound.
It worked really well. Yeah, it was nice.
I mean, you could just sort of hear the sound sort of spiraling around. Yeah,
just kind of bouncing about and panning.
That was really cool. And then obviously there was the bit where Rue was a little bit drunk and, missed where they were on the set list. And then there was like a marriage proposal.
Yeah, the marriage proposal was quite early on. So there's a group of people all had a sign each. And they but the trouble is they put it up just as the intro for, I think it was literally the second or third song, possibly Last Garrison, because that was early. And the band, obviously there's a lot of, I guess, like taped intros and stuff. So they were already into the intro, so I guess they just couldn't stop. So they kind of then addressed it at the end.
Yeah.
And whoever it was that proposed, they kind of did that, and yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously he lost his place in the set list as well. Yeah.
But I had the best time. I thought they absolutely smashed it. And obviously we Didn't like the new album. I love the little machine. So there's this, I don't know what they refer to it as, but it's on the front cover. And that little, I didn't realise he actually used that box live. And that it looked that awesome. It is such a cool bit of kit. And it's almost like a member of the band, almost, the way they treat it. In fact, I think it even has its own Instagram page. So
really?
Yeah, it's an awesome looking thing. And I thought the show was huge. The lights were incredible. The sound was good. And the new stuff, it was fine. I mean, it just seamlessly worked in, and I was surprised just how much the crowd were behind it.
I mean, I did hear people sort of like, because like they sort of teased intros of songs and then went into other songs.
Yeah, like there was a tiny snippet of Gandhi Mate, wasn't there? And
then
they
that
worked
went in the ship instead, and there was like a sort of hint of Slipshod, and then that went into something else and things like that. Which again, that's what Enter Shikari do. But I remember hearing some people sort of saying.
Yeah, there's a couple moaning, weren't they, that they hated that they were cutting up tracks and remixing stuff and not playing full songs. It's like, well, that's what they've always done. Yeah, and that's kind of the joy of their show, really, because they fuck around with their stuff.
Exactly. But again, I think I saw all but the last.
See, I was super happy because pretty much all my favourite tunes got played. So, I love Arguing with Thermometers and Anaesthetist and Destabilize, and all three of those just so good. Yeah, and hearing like Meltdown and obviously the Sorry You're Not a Winner and Juggernauts and stuff. It's just so cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought their set was great, and again, I just missed out on the last couple of songs, and I sort of headed off.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, by this point now, like Shikari and the crowd singing along to everything. From what I could see, and they absolutely loved it. But they pretty much just feel like a national treasure now to me, Shikari. Like the way their work ethic is, and you combine that with the light show and then the hard work that they put into the sound as well. It's it's such a cool band.
So they really sort of like, I remember saying this before. Like they have that full potential to be the sort of one of the sort of next UK headliners, festival headliners, at Reading, at Download.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that they're on that track because we need that new sort of like fresh blood, and every time I see them, they're such a joy, and it's always so much fun. So take a risk, get them Friday night Download.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, if you're one of them people that are like, well, I don't like the new album, it doesn't make a blind bit of difference because as I said to quite a few people over the weekend, I think their back catalogue has always been up and down. But they've now got so many bangers, and the way they cut it all up anyway, it's just a fun experience. They're so good.
Totally.
So, yeah, and it was wonderful that they were, because, I mean, if I'd have changed anything, I'd have put, I mean, obviously this is due to the logistics, so I get that it probably couldn't happen, but the Thursday to me should have been Twin Atlantic, the Friday at the drive-in, and then obviously as the closer, Shikari was perfect.
Yeah, but at the same time, only festival I've been to this summer so far, but it was brilliant, really, really good fun, and I definitely would do it again. I mean, I recommend people check it out.
Cool, and it's, there's tons of small underground bands as well that we didn't know there, and there's like bands with, like, they do seem to go out their way to cover a lot of bases. Like there was quite a few political sort of bands there as well, and they do all the extras. Not that I'm going to turn up to do early morning yoga, but there's tons of that kind of stuff going on as well. They also had a big tribute to, what's his name, Scott. Is it Scott Hutchinson, who tragically took his life earlier this year from Frightened Rabbit, and they had like a big tribute to him in the forest, and then they'd set up a Camp Frabbit, I think it was called, like a little acoustic stage.
They were meant to be playing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if the remaining bands, because they had this little area where I think people were just turning up to sort of share stories and post stuff, and there was, acoustic sessions, and there was, people discussing like mental illness and stuff. So, they'd really gone out, and just a wonderful sort of family vibe to the whole thing, really.
Right, okay.
So, there we go. That was the 3 days. Anything else you want to chat about?
Not that I can think of, apart from the fact it's still bloody hot.
It's
the UK
ridiculous.
has a wave, and I'm not enjoying. I hate complaining about the weather, or I hate complaining about that it's too hot.
Yeah.
It's that it's too hot to work, and I've got a lot of work to do.
I'm all in favour of installing a national siesta now.
Yeah, exactly. But then someone's just rung my front door. If you could just give us a second.
Well, I'm not going to pause the record. And we're back.
Running up and down the stairs. Right, sorry, where were we?
Well, just closing up really. So that was our 2000 Trees. We then just kind of partied until the early hours, and you headed home on the Saturday night.
Yes, headed home, got home at quite an early hour of the day, absolutely knackered. And but great weekend.
So if you've listened to that and thought, that sounds like a cool festival, you're not too late. You can get tickets to Arctangent, which is that literally everything we've just described is pretty much the same with Arctangent, only it's a slightly more niche crowd, because obviously 2000 Trees is a little bit more mainstream, although it's quite rock heavy this year. But Arctangent really is more post-rock and math rock, and you'll get, doomier stuff and that kind of thing. So this year they've got Shellac, Anathema, Glassjaw, La Dispute, who else is there? Jamie Lemon's there, Piano's Become the Teeth, Pelican, Rollo Tomasi, Zealand, Blackpink, tons of good bands. I'm not going, sadly, this year. I'm kind of looking forward to a nice quiet summer now. I've got all the festivals out the way before the summer holiday, which is pretty cool. You're tempted though, aren't you? Are you still...
I'm tempted.
Do it, mate, do it.
I don't know. It's a bit of a trek.
I thought Glassjaw and Shellac alone would sell you. It is a long run.
I think it's a long way to go from so. I mean,
because it's kind of... Well, so how many hours do you reckon it took you?
Just over 4.5 hours.
Yeah, because it's obviously a bit further and south from there.
Yeah,
like
and it's just at least another hour and a half, maybe another 2 hours on top of what we did.
But anyway, the offer's always there. So if you want to go and do that, that'd be cool.
Yeah, there's time for me to sort of figure it out.
Yeah, so that's 16th to the 18th of August, if anybody's wondering about it.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to close up on the My Vitriol interview, which you mostly did. I think I only chimed in once or twice because I didn't really know anything about the band.
Yeah, and I had a lot to clear up because obviously it's been so long since they have played, or certainly since they released an album. But I have seen them a couple of times in that time, that 16-year gap. But yeah, it was really, really good. Sam was unbelievably friendly, and it was great to chat with. And we will be back within the next sort of week and a bit.
Yep, inside of 2 weeks, definitely.
Back, we've got lots of new music to cover because there's so many good albums that have just come out. We've got the Bury Tomorrow album.
Should we do that as album in review? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, we need to talk about it. And
so send in your thoughts on that.
Yep, there's a couple of other sort of tracks that have come out recently that are really good. The new North Lane we need to talk about, and then Architects put out a really amazing piano cover.
The piano one, yeah.
But yeah, we will cover all of that in a proper show. But yeah, this was our 2003 special, but we will talk to you again soon.
See you later.
Sweet. So, I've talked about your band on the podcast several times. In fact, in a section we called and ran for a while called MIA, the A to Z of MIA. But for people who don't know, could you describe My Vitriol for those people?
Who haven't heard us before?
Yeah.
Oh, I can quote you a lot of interesting journalistic answers to that.
How would you describe it though?
Like sticking everything I used to love in a blender and then me reinterpreting it on the way out. But I mean, yeah, I guess it's everything from, acoustic stuff, which I love, all the way through to really heavy, noisy stuff like Rage Against the Machine at times. Through to, melodics, because I loved the Beatles when I was a kid, Now we've got links to the Beatles with Tash, but unfortunately she couldn't make this gig because she's got a little kitty.
Right.
Kitty comes first, so that's understandable. But yeah, so I guess I fell in love with the Beatles when I was really young. The first song that ever made me cry was Eleanor Rigby. I remember asking my mum about the line "All the Lonely People," and my mum decided to tell me it's because we're all born alone and we all die alone. Thanks.
Well, there's a positive opener.
But I think I'm glad she said that to me because it did. I realised how much impact music can have at that stage. I guess and it was, and ever since then I'd fallen in love with music, but I didn't really play any of it. And it was Nirvana coming along, I guess, with their simplicity. I mean, that was a great thing about Nirvana, I guess, because
it was like punk breaking again, and meaning, you know, everything had got so technical by the end of the 80s that it kind of like pushed a lot of people with heart and soul out. It became more like left brain, not right brain. And it was the same when the Sex Pistols broke, I guess. I mean, I wasn't around then, but, you know, everything got very technical and prog rock and stuff. I mean, I love Queen, and here's the irony is that, you know, bands can love Queen and Sex Pistols now, when they hated each other. I mean, you've probably heard that. The famous story about Sid. I mean, Sid's a moron and Freddie's a genius, right? The fact that a guy who was a moron, who couldn't even play his instrument, would walk up to someone and say, "You still taking ballet to the masses?" I mean, get a life. I mean, get a grip.
Well, it's interesting that you sort of you bring up Nirvana as the influence, because you kind of like at the time, certainly prior to the Fine Lines coming out, you were kind of caught up in that wave of, we've got to find the next Nirvana. Like, you know, we're talking from that sort of 94 to 2000 of like this weird industry of like, we have to find the next Nirvana. And you kind of were riding the beginning of that sort of cusp of like, we found the UK. So it was like, you...
I don't know if we ever penned ourselves to be that.
Well, like, the thing is, like, I remember getting the sort of...
Because Nirvana didn't want to be the Nirvana. Like, do you know what I mean? I think this is the thing, you know, it makes sense to look for that. But, you know, the next Nirvana was never going to sound like Nirvana, really. You know, not saying that we necessarily do. There's elements of that in us.
Well, it was the thing. You were in that wave of like, you came in with sort of like Idlewild, K. They were the sort of bands at the time where I was just like, remember always reading. You know, going back, this is me being 17, 18. Be like, that's what Kerrang were writing. That's what Rock Sound were saying. It's just like, we found the next Nirvana. I grew up obviously in Northern Ireland, so at the times reading reviews about these London gigs. These mythical bands.
We thought that about K. We were like, these guys are like the UK Nirvana. That's what we thought about them.
Right.
We never thought of. I mean, and you know, it was really weird when we kind of broke and all of our heroes didn't have any hits, and there we were like off. And now we didn't really have anyone. It was kind of like, I guess with Nirvana they had the Sonic Youth thing.
Yes.
And now looking back, K was like our Sonic Youth. They were like our really good friends. They were very inspirational to us. We were younger than them. We looked up to them. You know, we played just before them at Reading and all that kind of stuff. We toured with them as their opener. You know, and then things happened. You know, it wasn't predictable at all. You know, we'd hardly really written any songs, played any gigs, or what. There was the Magic 7 number, wasn't it? We had like 7 songs. We'd had 7 gigs. And I think we'd have been around for 7 months or something, and then we got signed and stuff.
Well, the thing is, I still remember getting through that like promo CD from I can't remember the name of the London label, but like I remember that arriving in my local music shop, and I was just like, snatch that! It's a brand new song from all these new bands, you know, hungry for. So I remember like it was pretty much that disc I was looking at, where it was just like, these have to be the next up and coming bands, and then you had like the early version of Cemented Shoes, and it was just like, who is this band? I have to know more about this band. And then it was just that sort of like, need Kerrang pick it up, because like growing up in Northern Ireland, I don't know anything about this band. I need more info.
I think the one thing the British press may have missed is that, you know, it had to come from America, because a lot of the rock bands that were really great rock bands, you know, look at Ash, Northern Ireland, right? Great band, amazing songs. Yeah, of course, and they're really good friends still to this day. I love them to bits. And same with Therapy from Southern, you know, some of them are North. But again, they didn't, with Troublegum, great album, didn't crack America. It's really hard to swim upstream. You know, there were so many great bands from the rock world in Britain that just never managed to get through. There was a wall.
Which is interesting, because you seem to be the one that broke through that. Like, that album was big. It was really big. I mean, you know, to the point where that's the one that people have still. Cause
that's the only one we have.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
That's the only one
I mean, certainly, like, spanning your career, like, you've gone through the sort of label being back behind a band to the industry the way it is now. Like, what does that feel like as an artist, having sort of transitioned through all that upheaval?
Well, I think we got in that boat when the waters were getting pretty choppy, you know. the generation just before, like Matt from Muse is a good friend. We toured with them recently, and he said, "Yeah, I think we got through. Our horse bolted just as the door shut." And there was a lot to that, because the British bands struggled a lot harder than the American ones, for sure. Because with Americans, there's the economies of scale. That's such a huge market. It's a big rock market. With Britain, you kind of had to have Radio 1, and if you didn't, you were fucked. So it was a struggle for the British bands. I mean, there's very few that managed to transcend that divide, and everything kept changing. Like literally everything. It went from dial-up to broadband. Yeah. There was no MySpace. Then it was MySpace. Then it was and as soon as something seemed like it was the format, it changed. And it kept changing. And after 2007, I think rock music really got hit pretty hard, because at that point everyone started streaming. And because they start to allow streaming as the to account for chart, and at that point, because rock fans tend to be pretty tech savvy, so we got hit harder than a lot of other kind of acts. If you're Amy Winehouse, you might sell some records to people that are 50 plus who like really jazz music, and that's great. Same with Adele, same with even with Coldplay.
Labels want safe bets.
Yes, same with even Coldplay, but it's not just labels, it's even the media.
Yeah.
So rock music got like more and more marginalized after a really long run that you have, Nirvana and Rage and bands like that to thank for, because they just broke through, and then eventually, like 17 years later almost, I think everything started to move, and the way people consume music is why it changed. Because a lot of rock songs don't sound as great through, a MacBook Pro or an iPhone.
Yeah.
But all those minimalist songs like The Weeknd, where there's a lot of space and the bass is turned up really high, because there's no bass on these little things.
Yeah.
So these are essentially built for clarity of voice, and that comes between the sort of 4 to 7K range. That's the range that I'm losing currently by playing in bands for too long. I actually got my ears tested. Yeah, and there was a notch. It's called a notch, and there was a notch, and I was like, "Is this common?" And he's like, "Common in people who work in factories and the professional musicians." I said, I've fallen into that.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's kind of like it's not necessarily. It's kind of a backhanded kind of like acknowledgement. It's not meant to be that, but like you're famously known for having the sort of one album and then the sort of long hiatus and then re-emerging and then hiatusing and whatnot.
The guy who signed me, I guess he's just been proved right a little bit, because he said, "I don't want you to do a Kevin Shields."
Yes, which I was kind of leading to that, of just sort of like
Kevin Shields released more albums than I did. Yeah. I released one.
Yeah, but I was interested in sort of like the bands that you toured with at the time and your peers. I mean, the fact that My Vitriol's still going, you have kind of outlived a lot of the peers and the bands that you influenced. Thinking sort of Ruben, My Vitriol was always name dropped in any sort of it. Yeah,
I didn't know that. They're a good band. I didn't know that.
And it's that sort of like, what's it like still being in My Vitriol now and sort of like seeing that you've outlasted those bands?
Yeah, but it's not really a race, isn't it? I mean, like I always thought it was very strange that people would always put this fiscal calendar on albums, because one thing I really, really hated is when any artist released an album that they knew wasn't great. I mean, why would you? So, I mean, do I care how long my favourite author takes to write a book? No. Do I care how long my favourite painter does? No. I just care about the work that they put out. And it's such an emotional thing, like I said, the right brain thing. If, when you get forced in this corporate system of, oh, we've got to get this out here, otherwise we won't get the right festival slots, blah, blah, blah. And there was all that going on. When we got moved to Waters, which we didn't plan that. There was a lot of major label, umming and ahhing about how, and it was just like, Jesus, it's just, the music is secondary to the business plan.
Right.
But I mean, we didn't get into it for that. I mean, no, like, that's, one thing no one can ever, because no one names your band something like that if you want to be a household name.
Well, yeah, fair. I mean, it's sort of like it's just interesting because you sort of what was I thinking? Yeah, so you've sort of like since the release of that album, you've gained not just a loyal following, it's a sort of cult following. And they're very loyal, and they when you do resurface, they sell out shows and things like that. Has social media become a real sort of benefit to connect with those fans? Because obviously it didn't exist.
It didn't exist, yeah. I mean, 2001 was such a different place, isn't it?
I mean, this is what I kind of ask, because it's rare to meet an artist that's been in that sort of position where they've transitioned through that evolution in the industry. So I find that kind of fascinating.
It is fascinating. I mean, technology will always change. I mean, as you might have noticed, everything we use is completely different to how we started out. Like, we don't even use amps anymore, And we get, we will get the shit, There is a double-edged sword to the kind of people that we did end up attracting. Meaning, they were die-hard music fans, and I love that about them. But then there is an element of, you can never, ever,
Bit too muso.
Yes. So as soon as I had, as I said, I've damaged my ears, and I had pretty bad tinnitus, and it was a choice between, stopping touring altogether, or changing something about the setup.
Right.
So we're meant to have a very low stage sound tonight. It was fucking definitely, but
there were moments I did notice where you were sort of.
I was like telling you, I couldn't hear myself think. I can hear because when it gets that loud, your brain can't pitch anymore. There's this weird thing that happens, and it's only happened a few times, but when it gets that loud, you can't differentiate between the bass notes, and it's almost like white noise. You just go. And at that point, you're like, shit, I can't even do a show. So I'm like, need to bring it down.
Well, this is kind of what leads into my follow-up question of sort of like, again, you're a unique example where the live experience has changed dramatically in that space of time as well. I was just kind of wanting to know how you approach the songs now compared to how you were playing in sort of 2002, 2003. I mean, is it unrecognisable compared to the original setup?
Well, we've learned a lot about production. So Secret Session was great in that the guy that was producing it for us ended up, he's won like 3 Grammys or whatever. He's a friend of mine, but he got like some pretty big jobs, and and we had an obligation to fill, and it was painful because it was running late, but we were having to wait for other people that and you can't call them out, and you can't say, well, we're waiting on so and so. You can't like push people in front of the bus. So you kind of had to do whatever it could, So eventually I just got so sick of it, like I ended up in hospital yet again on that record, and stress-related stuff.
Yeah.
But I did it on Fine Lines, and that's partly why I didn't want to make another record. It was just I had associated with so much negative emotions. Like, it was associated with pain. When it was meant to be the thing that I really wanted to do. So that's why I was just like, I was done with it. And then after Secret Session, I was like, oh God, it was pain again, But the great silver lining on that cloud was the fact that, we learned, Ravi and me both, we learned how to do a lot of the production and mixing ourselves. So that little Depeche Mode thing that we released, that little cover, was completely done just Ravi and me. And that was a way of trying to, so if we had that skill back when we did Fine Lines, the record would have probably...
Well, exactly. Well, again, it's interesting because, like, to people who've never heard my Vitriol before, like, in that gap, you have, like you said, also taken advantage of the fact you could record something and then it's up on YouTube, and you're happy to let people just check out what you're working on. Here's something you're doing. But again, not a platform that was available when you started. So again, I just find that really interesting as what's that like as an artist to have that kind of like freedom?
I mean, it's most effective when you have a very young, almost over-enthusiastic fan base that can't shut up about it and keep, and our fan base...
Well, especially when you've got one album.
Yeah. So especially when it was like, 17 years ago, whatever. So, the fans that we have are a lot more, they're maturer. Like, you still get a lot, like, the odd, younger ones, but they're not the ones who are going to really, they have lives. They're grown-ups. So they're not going to be sitting there, like, pasting, They kind of like, it's their own thing, it's their own little thing. MV tends to be their own little thing, and they might have a group of friends that have it, and they're not necessarily like getting the pom-poms out, you know.
Yeah.
But they go nuts when in the shows and stuff, but they don't necessarily do all of that street teaming stuff.
Yeah.
And it's most effective for I mean, this is the problem, you know. Unfortunately, you know, the internet and things like that will only reveal parts of human nature that otherwise have been hidden for a very long time. And you can't really fight against that. And that is that's something that needs to be debated, because you can never really stifle it.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of like, without sort of like kind of admitting I'm one of those sort of fans of like, I kind of want to ask the question that's burning on their lips for the last 16 years. It's like, you're always pumping things out and putting things out here and there, but is a new album works? I mean, because obviously we've got versions of songs and different takes of songs, but is the golden question is like, is there one out there? Is it?
Yeah, well, that's interesting you say that.
Keep waiting, but is it in the pipeline?
The best answer for me to say is just no, right?
Okay.
Always keep expectations low. So no, there won't be another album.
So always keep expecting is what you're saying.
Well, it'll be another 20 years.
You're doing a good job so far. Yeah, I had hair whenever your first album came out.
Well, I mean, you know, there are tracks that actually people are aware of that were played live and all that stuff. There's a bunch of them, you know, Cast Aspersions, Lessons Learned, what else? Into Your Arms. There's so many. My Whole World Implodes. So within, I could quote you about half an album there.
Yeah.
Of tracks that we haven't put out there in their official form. So there's that. But there's also the new tracks, which we're more excited about. Actually, when we did Secret Sessions, we bumped a lot of those tracks off. Not because we didn't like them, but because we had new tracks that came that we really wanted to put on the album, like Wretched Tied Head, really mellow one, and then London City Lights, because they had a complete different vibe to all of the rest.
Gotcha.
So we just wanted to slot them in there, because otherwise it would just feel like a collection of just and we're just bored of just having the old, you know. Yeah, I mean, the good news is that we can, you know, we can produce a lot of the stuff ourselves for almost nothing. That's hugely. I mean, like, if anyone's listening to this in the band, I would just say, you know, definitely learn how to use whatever, Pro Tools or whatever. We use Pro Tools, but it's such a huge advantage. It's an advantage that basically guys like the late Avicii or even, you know, the hip hop guys have over rock bands, because they're their own producer. They don't have another step to jump over. Finding a producer that actually understands your sound, especially if you're trying to do something different. If you're trying to do, you know, if you're just trying to be Green Day, I mean, this is why so many bands, after one band breaks, they have a carbon copy of it or whatever. Yeah. You've got Green Day breaking, and then you got Blink, and then you got, you know, Some, and then you got Good Shot. And that happens, you got Pearl Jam, you got Creed. It happens because it's so much easier if you're not taking if people know exactly what the parameters are. And we were trying to do something different because we had the rhythm section and the dynamics of like sort of grunge and all that, but we had this sort of classic British kind of out there, you know, in the clouds and space.
I mean, I kind of want to sort of point out, it's interesting you say that, because it's like you've gone back to how it started with you and Ravi. I mean, essentially you've got the equipment, but it's back to you two.
It's most of it, but so I mean, obviously Seth is involved.
You've gone through a very sort of long roundabout journey to get back to.
Yeah.
We work best when it's just us two with the tools that we need.
Yeah, I mean, that's not fair on Seth, because obviously Seth's really involved as well. Yeah, so.
Yeah, but I mean, just sort of in
the production, you're absolutely right on the production front. Yeah, that's me and Rav. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's me and Rav so many years later, and completely different people, and using different tools and different skills actually. So it's interesting. I mean, he's a great drummer, but he's actually really good at all that stuff as well. You know?
Well, and it's good that you've got such a long working partnership as well. Like, you know, to have that longevity.
Yeah, it's like having marriages, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And just a last question: just what are the up and coming bands, or what's fresh, the new music that Songboarder is listening to right now?
I'm so out of the loop. I mean, I kept in touch with the rock scene for a while, and then it got kind of depressing. Can I be honest? Like, I want you to tell me what's good, because like I got really like it started to get a little bit after around 2007. It really, I don't know what happened to rock. it sort of really lost its mojo a little bit, didn't it?
But you mentioned your favourite writer earlier. Who's your favourite author or writer?
I read a lot of philosophy and stuff. I'm really boring. And a lot of politics and things like that. It would be hard to pick out one favourite. I mainly at the moment read fact over fiction, because I think that there's so much I want to learn out there. And like, that's something that keeps me going, the fact that there's still something new to learn. I mean, it's bizarre. I have the 4 L's, I said, in life. I mean, I've read a lot of philosophy, and I was raised Buddhist, and, you know, blah blah. And the good thing about being raised Buddhist is that you're allowed to question. You're allowed to question dogma, as opposed to just, you know, submit to it necessarily in that religion, if you want to call it that. And so I've always been quite questioning, I guess, growing up, and that I've only come to this conclusion that the life is about 4 L's. It's to learn, to love, to laugh, and to leave something behind. And I can't find anybody else that has given me anything more than those 4 L's.
Actually,
That's a nice end.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I
don't know where you were about to go.
You can edit.
You can edit that out.
I just have
You can put that edit to the end.
I just have an off the record
Just
question.
thank him.
Yeah.
Just said,
Thank you very much, Sam.
It's alright, it's alright.
So we can just.
Over Macho Grande?
No, I don't think I'll ever get over Macho Grande.